Hey, I am going to show you how to do that problem number 9 here, and then also show you comment on a few other things. So I've already created an HTML with a thank you message, and it's pretty basic, doesn't do much. But we need to have that HTML, and we're going to have the submit button redirect to that file. So here is your project. And notice I like to work in split view so I can see the source code and the design at the same time. Scrolling all the way down, so here at the bottom we want a form. So before the body, I'm going to come over to the toolbox, and first you must add a form element, and all of these form controls need to be nested inside the form element. Otherwise, the redirect doesn't send the input to the new form or to the new program you're redirecting to, though you're not writing any server-side code yet. So I'm going to just take my form and drag and drop it over here. Okay, try to do a little alignment. And so now all my other form elements are going to nest inside of there. Now what you need, the secret to get it to redirect, it's actually two parts. First of all, the action is going to be the name of a file or program that you're going to execute and send this data to that's inside of the form. So you just have an HTML file. You're not really executing a program, but that's okay. You can put the name of the HTML file inside the action attribute there. Okay. Don't know Expression Web very well, so I'll be working with code more than anything. Then, in order to line up the form, what normally you have are a label and then form elements. I like to use a table. I see you've already used table for alignment. So I'm going to insert a table, and we'll just make it 2 by 2, but we can expand on that. So now we have a table down here, and here's the table cells. And if you don't want it to be, you want to be a little bit smaller, you can make it a little bit smaller here. And you're going to use CSS now to position the table later, so don't position the table right now. So what we need is the name, so I'll have a label for the name, and I'll go over to the second column, and you need input text, and this is like a text box in VB. So there's my text box. If you want to, remember in VB you had to rename your text boxes, so under name you can give it a new name. Keep the type, that's what makes it look like a text box. Okay, then I want the email address. Oops, wrong place. Okay, so I'm coming over here. I want the email address. Again, just using a text box if you're not using HTML5. In HTML5, they have a new element called email, and it validates automatically if the value entered is a valid email. You know that it has the @ symbol and the .com or .edu on it. Okay, now we're going to prompt for gender. Okay, so in the gender, what you need are radio buttons. But depending on how you want to format that, you might do this. I'll just format it like this. You format it whatever you like. But I'm going to drag in a radio button, hit enter, and type mail. Then do some spaces, not tabs, sorry about that. Do some spaces, grab in my second radio button, and come over spaces, female. Now looking up at the code, because I'm not so sure how to set this property in Expression Web, looking up the code for this, here is this input. I want you to, for male, notice that it's selected. I prefer it not to be selected when it first opens, because if someone doesn't change it, they're going to be a male whether they're female or not. Another thing I want you to do is look at radio 1. Both of these have to have the same name in order to be mutually exclusive. Okay, so come over here, let's call it gender. That way it's more readable in the code if you start writing source code for this. Okay, then in my last field, or last row here, let's add the buttons to make it work. So there are several types of buttons in HTML. The reset button will automatically clear the data and set this into its initial state. So let's put the reset button in this table cell, and then the submit button is the button that takes all this data. Okay, notice it's type equals submit. If you don't want it to say submit, you can say something else, and whatever you put in value up here is what's going to show you down here. I think most users are used to submit, so you can keep submit. Okay. All right, so what the submit button does is it collects the data and sends that data to a program that's listed in the action that we had up here. Okay. Now this is just an HTML file, so not much will happen, but it works. So let's test this. Let's see. View. Let's see. There we go. Preview in browser. Chrome. Scroll down, and as you see, that does go to the next page that says thank you for visiting. Now I have a few comments on here. At this state, I should be inside a table cell, inside a table row, inside a table, inside a form, which is fine. But why do we have all of these open fonts? This form should just be inside a body or some divs. So I'm a little concerned that you have all these open fonts. I think that what you're going to be doing is styling with CSS later. And I think what's happening is you are styling with fonts and not quite correctly at all. Yeah. So wherever you see up here in the source code this yellow, it's a warning that something's not right. So for example, there's a B and an H2, and you must close from inside to out. So, and a font. Notice you never close the font at all. So the way this should close on this side should be font, then H2, then B. And I think the font is never getting closed, and so by the time we get down here, we have all of these open fonts, which aren't good. So take another look through the source code in Expression Web, and everywhere you see these yellow, they're little warning signs to you. For example, this "and" should be that, okay? So little warning signs. I'll be glad to walk through you a little bit later this afternoon if you're free and help you through this. Okay, talk to you later.